Hey, welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today. As always, I hope you're keeping well. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a winter reset vlog. I've never done one of these before, but there's been so many things that have been building up and that I've been procrastinating on over the last while that I feel like I really need to just crack on with things. And over the last 2 weeks, I've been in the process of just, slowly but surely chipping away at the things that I've been meaning to do. Like I've gone to the dentist, I got my teeth cleaned, I've gotten a clean bill of health from the doctor, I got a new job. I'm just in the process of trying to not spiral anymore and to just, restart myself and be a functioning normal human being. So some of the tasks that I'm going to be getting on with doing this vlog is going to be doing a deep clean of the entire house, getting the place ready for Christmas, and I haven't even done any bit of Christmas shopping yet, so we're going to need to do that. I'm also going to be doing a good bit of reading, so don't be worrying that this is going to be turning into some sort of lifestyle vlog. So for the reading aspect of this vlog, I'm going to be picking up The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This is obviously a very hyped book over the last couple of months since it's come out. I'm really looking forward to it. Now, I have been quite disappointed with some of the 2024 horror releases. I feel like a lot of the stuff has been really overhyped, and that's the reason why I've kind of been procrastinating on picking this up especially. So I do feel like it's time, and I do have to get it back to the library pretty soon, so I do want to get it read before it goes back and, before 2024 ends. So I'm hoping that this won't leave me disappointed. I hope that I'll be able to enjoy it. I'm on a pretty strong reading kick at the moment. I've been reading consistently every single day, and I've been reading a lot for me. So let's hope I can keep up the momentum with this. So for today, I think I'm just going to mostly be filming and vlogging and editing. I haven't really had a video on the go for a while. I haven't really done any recording since probably mid-November, so I feel a little bit rusty. And it's one of those things that the longer you go without doing it, the more you don't want to do it and the harder it is to get back to it. So I'm putting my foot down today. I'm going to get a load of stuff recorded, and that's going to be today. And tomorrow might be the day that we go into town, I show you around a bit, do a bit of Christmas shopping, and then the following day might be the full-blown deep cleaning day. I've got so much to do and so little time to do it, so let's crack on. So I thought I'd check in and do my first reading update for The Eyes Are the Best Part. I'm 108 pages into it, and so far so good. Nothing horrifying has happened in it yet. It's very much setting up our main character and her family dynamic and her kind of current state of mind after her father has left her mother in a very kind of abrupt manner. It's really broken apart the family, and we're really seeing the resentment that she holds towards her mother, because her mother is basically this type of person who believes that she is nothing without a man, and that's obviously a very kind of cultural thing that has been implanted in her brain from a young age, fairly common all over the world. So it's an understandable and somewhat relatable thing that the mother is going through, but she really is acting. It's not so much that the father is dead, it is as if she herself is dead. We're seeing the two young daughters reacting to this and trying to navigate this. And there is also a very strong element of kind of maybe potential some sort of narcissistic personality thing within the mother as well. That's just something that I'm personally kind of picking up on, but so far our main character is pretty normal. I'm wondering if the whole thing about her being some sort of murderer is a red herring, and it's actually going to be somebody else in her family or somebody she knows, because yeah, it just seems very mundane. I don't know, the life isn't over the top. There's nothing to say that what I'm expecting to happen based on the title of this book is going to happen, but we never know. So that's why I'm anticipating some sort of massive psychotic break. I'm even wondering who the victim is going to be. Is it going to be the father after what he's done to the mother, or I don't know. My mind is kind of all over the place, because I feel, despite the fact that I'm enjoying it, I feel like I am jumping ahead of myself and being well, what if it's going to be this? Or what if this happens? Or what if that happens? And, it's got me excited for reading the story, obviously, if my mind is thinking in that sense. But it's kind of when you go into reading a thriller novel and you know that there's going to be a big twist at the end. That's kind of how I feel while reading this. I'm just waiting for something to happen. And I'm thinking, with how slow the pacing is, well, I don't want to say the pacing is slow. How slow the story is with getting going. I don't necessarily mean the pace of it, because I'm reading it quite quickly. The fact that like nothing has happened, I'm thinking that this might be one of those books where it's going to be like the last 20 pages or so is when shit is going to hit the fan. You know, kind of like with certain Stephen King novels, it's like you read and you read and you read and you read and you finally get the payoff within like the last 10 or 20 pages because all hell breaks loose. So that's kind of how I'm feeling with this so far. But I'm liking it. I'm liking all the cultural references and, you know, the heavy discussion about food and fish eyes and things like that. So, yeah, I'll have to carry on reading tonight and see where I get and see if anything juicy happens. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what €75 worth of shopping from Dunnes Stores will get you, minus the chicken that I have put in the fridge already. I've got a bit of like brain rot. I'm so tired after that, but yeah, I got most of what I needed. So I got most of the veg. They didn't have any sweetheart cabbage, so I was sickened because it means I'm going to have to go out and try to find that somewhere. Something completely unnecessary, but I just wanted to get for the sake of it, was their pistachio spread, because it's so good. And obviously I got the croissants for the spread, and I got strawberries and, you know, fresh fruit and stuff, because I also kind of feel like I'm dying. But yeah, like load of parsnips, load of yogurty type things, because I'm a fiend for them. Yeah, this actually really is not that impressive whatsoever. But I didn't even have a tenner off voucher, so I was really annoyed. But anyway, it had to be done. It had to be done, and now it has to be put away. So I'm going to get on with putting all this stuff away, and then afterwards I have to wrap all my presents. And I'm just starting to feel like real anxious because there's so little time now to get things done, and there's so much expected of me. So I'm going to try to be level-headed and you know, do one task at a time, because that's all I can do, and just crack on with it. I'm not gonna lie though, I am really looking forward to getting into bed, reading The Ice for the best part, because it's starting to get it so interesting. And I've just, that thought has been the thing that's been getting me through the day, being like, you know, when this is all said and done, that is going to be your you time for today, you know, my me time. Good morning. So I wanted to do the first reading update of the day. I just got done making my thumbnails for the upcoming week, so I changed my makeup like 5 times, and now I'm going to have to take this off and go back to the original makeup that I had on initially to do some filming. I need to film my winter TBR, and then later this evening I'm going to be filming like an anticipated 2025 books video that is probably going to take me about 2.5 hours to film. So yeah, but this is the only time of day that this is the only day that I'm going to be home during the week. or during the next couple of days, that I can actually get the filming done in the day that I need to do. And it's already like 12 o'clock and I already have to have like a light on in the background because it's getting so dark. So yeah, anyway, so my first reading update of the day, which is basically from last night, because I read to the point where I started to get drowsy, and at that point I only have about 23 seconds to put the book out, turn the light out and lie down before the drowsiness wears off. So I didn't want to like get the camera out and start being like blah blah blah, because then I knew I'd be awake for a while. But we've had our first significant event happen within this, and it was absolutely a nod at American Psycho. And usually, like for example, when I read Mayfly, and obviously Mayfly is influenced by American Psycho, and it had a scene where it mimics the discussion of music that Patrick Bateman likes to, his rants that he likes to go on in American Psycho, and it was terrible. It was really poorly done. A lot of the time when modern horror books kind of reference something popular in previous horror books, I usually don't like it, and this was kind of like a scene for scene recreation of Patrick Bateman's first murder. And I had the exact same sort of visceral what the fuck reaction to it as I did when I read American Psycho. So I feel like it was successfully done in this, because I wasn't just like, oh, I see what you're doing here. It was pulled off pretty well, and it made it its own, and it was very unsettling. I found it somewhat nauseating, and again, I was kind of blindsided by it, which is also how I felt when I read that particular scene in American Psycho. The setup of the character, we have an idea of them, but then we were like, okay, this is who you really are, this is what you really like doing, and this is you just testing the waters to really become that like true version of yourself, which is basically a psycho. So I'm happy that I proved myself wrong, that it isn't just going to be like the last 10 pages where things kick off. So I'm expecting that we're going to have these moments in dribs and drabs throughout the entire novel until it leads up to the ultimate kill. But you know what? I wouldn't say that this is a horror novel though, but I also wouldn't say it's a thriller novel. And I'm kind of like in between, because like obviously a thriller invokes a certain ideal about like your reading experience, but it's not a straight up horror novel. So I feel like if you go into this expecting that, you'd be probably a little bit disappointed. It's that subgenre of just like killer or serial killer or whatever, I guess. Anyway, so that is like my vague, weird, poorly described update for this morning so far. So I have about half of the book left to read, and yeah, I hate George. Hate George. Do you know what? I don't really like most of the characters within this, if I'm going to be honest. I find them all irritating in their own ways. But George is definitely the worst so far. So I've run a few errands today, and I also had to swing by the library because they had a couple of books that I ordered in arrive, and I knew they also had some new releases that I was hoping to get my hands on, and I did. So I have a massive haul. I was going to say hoard because it is kind of hoarding library books, but there's also me thinking that I was going to lay off the library in the new year, and can I stick to my word? No, because there's a lot of new releases that I want to read but I don't want to actually spend my money on, so I'm going to use the library, okay? Also, I want to show you my new t-shirt because they finally arrived after being in the country for like 14 days. They finally were delivered this morning. It is this. It is awesome. I love it so much. I was waiting so long to get it because I missed the first round of orders, so I had to wait like 3 months for it to go up on their Black Friday sale. And then this is the Stephen King shirt that I also picked up. It's just all the VHS tapes of his film adaptations, and I absolutely love this too. I can't wait to like wear this. I feel like, you know, obviously I didn't need another Stephen King shirt, but you know, like support small businesses and all that jazz. So these are all the books that came home with me today, so let's get into them. So first up, I have Jackal by Erin E. Adams. This is a book that was only published in Europe recently, so I've been really dying to get my hands on it for the last year or so, and I was lucky enough to be able to pick it up at the library. It was just sitting on a new in table, and I immediately snagged it, despite the fact that I wasn't even really thinking that they'd have it when I went in. So this follows a young woman who's going back to her hometown after being away for quite some time. She's not too happy about having to go back, as she has a lot of resentment for the people she grew up with, because she was pretty much like the only black person in her school, and she felt very ostracized, and it just didn't seem like a good situation, you know, her home life growing up. And when she's back in town, I think she's back in town for a wedding, and the daughter of her best friend ends up going missing, and she's also a young black girl, and there's like the string of young black girls who have gone missing in this town, and she believes that it's all connected, and she fears the worst. So it sounds like there's a lot of thriller elements, but I'm hoping that there's going to be a decent amount of horror and kind of weirdness to it. Next I have Above Us the Sea by Anya Card. This is another book that I wasn't expecting to pick up. It's also published by Dead Ink. I think they're a really decent publishing house. At the moment I feel like they're killing it. I feel like all the books that I've read from them so far have been like 4 stars or higher, so I'm kind of biased to them for the time being. So this is about a woman who ends up entering a relationship of 2 gay men, and they become like a trio, a love triangle sort of thing, but then something catastrophic happens and the trio are torn apart, and it's really a story of her trying to figure out her own identity, her own sexuality, and kind of what it is that she wants from life. But it sounds like it's going to be somewhat of a devastating read, so I'm really looking forward to, you know, maybe potentially bawling my eyes out to this. Next I have Blackwood Women by Michael Stewart. This was a book that I was really looking forward to. I think it was published at the end of November, so I was absolutely shocked that the library had it in. I'm pretty sure I'm the first person who's going to be reading this because it looks unread, so I was like, yes, I'm breaking it in. This was a book that I featured in my autumn horror releases. Now, having read the back of it again, I'm thinking maybe it's a little less horror focused. It follows an Irish family who have been trying to escape the British by hiding out in the UK, because, you know, it's kind of like hiding in plain sight. Tragedy ends up happening, and this young girl ends up being orphaned, and she has to fend for herself, and she finds a coven of women who accept her in, and it sounds like there's going to be like a good bit of kind of like witchcraft elements. It's set in the 1600s, around the witch hunt period, so I'm assuming it's going to be very witchy and whimsical, but also somewhat heartbreaking. Another really anticipated read for me for the new year is Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. This is actually a signed copy. I guess he signed so many copies that the library just had no other option than getting one, but I thought that's kind of cool. I've never seen a signed copy of a library book before. So this is basically about, from what I can tell, it's like a cursed movie that people are trying to find out more about, like years after it was made. It was never released to the public, and something, I don't know if it's something weird happened on set, or there was just something bad happened by making the movie in the first place, but years later people are just trying to find out the truth of what happened there, and they're basically kind of like opening Pandora's box with their investigation, and that's pretty much all I know about it. It sounds quite similar in plot to a few other books that came out over 2023 and 2024, so if I have the whole synopsis muddled up in my head, I apologise. I also picked up Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. I saw this there and I thought, you know, this is a book that just recently came out. I enjoy Ava Reid's writing so far from what I've read of her work, and this wasn't on the priority list for me for reading in 2024, but I figured I might as well try to. I probably won't be able to squeeze it in before the end of the year at this point. I think I'll probably be reading it at some point over January. I've seen a few mixed reviews about it. I know it was really anticipated when it was released, but some people are just saying that it's not as good as they hoped it would be. It's been a little bit disappointing, and yeah, it's basically her retelling or her reimagining of the whole Macbeth thing. One of the books that I specifically ordered in is one that I don't know a huge amount about, but I've just seen it being referenced and being somewhat hyped on BookTube and BookTok in certain horror communities, and it is This Cursed House by Del Sandine. This is about a woman who I believe stumbles across a house where a family are trapped by a curse, and it just sounds kind of weird. It sounds like a interesting take on the whole kind of haunted slash cursed houses. I also ordered in Dearest by Jackie Walters. This is a book that again is another recent horror release. I've been really interested in reading some of the kind of more hyped horror releases of 2024 because I'm hoping to make a video about it in probably mid-January by the time I get through reading all these books. But this is about a woman who I believe has a baby, and it's something to do with the house that she's either going to live in or is currently living in. I don't know if it's like a case where she just moves back into like her mother's house, but it sounds like there's a lot of kind of like generational trauma between herself and her mother, and this baby may potentially be a new start. But then there's also the possibility of some sort of entity living in this house where she's at who specifically wants the baby. It kind of sounds like a mixture between Rosemary's Baby and Paranormal Activity, which would be an interesting mix if that's the case. And then finally, the last book that I ordered in was Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. This is a book that I specifically saw Reading with Meg talk about and say that it's really good. I feel like she featured it in one of her like unhinged women reading vlogs or video recommendations, and that's how it got on my radar. I was interested in reading Anna Dorn's other books, but when I heard about this, I was like, do you know what, I feel like this would be easier to track down since it seems like the less hyped out of what she has currently published. So this is about a woman who's a writer, and she's kind of like a struggling writer, but eventually she strikes some good luck, and someone in the movie industry wants to adapt one of her books into a film, and it basically gets kind of like more and more unhinged as we go through it. It's also meant to be quite like a dark comedy, so yeah, it just sounds like it's going to be a nice little break from me reading all the horror stuff that I'm planning to read over the next couple of weeks. Okay, so to give you an idea, so we'll start like entrance to my room. We have the wall that I need to paint, we have cobwebs that I need to take down, and then we have my side table, which not that bad, you know, it's mostly stuff I need to put away. The bed sheets are clean because I did them yesterday, so that's grand. Then I have obviously the books that I got from the library, towels and stuff that I need to put in the bathroom, and then we're gonna get a little bit more. I'll take a step back. So we have my bookcase, which just has a load of books that I need to put away on it, laundry that I just did that I need to put away, and then we're getting over to the desk area, and it is just mostly just like stuff that I need to put away, loads of equipment, makeup, all that kind of thing. So yeah, you know, it won't take me that long. I also need to give the floor a bit of a hoover as well. But yeah, I just need to do a lot of organizing and tidying and all that kind of stuff, wiping down surfaces. So I'm just gonna get on with it. You know, there's the chair as well that's like covered in clothes that I need to put away. So yeah. Alright, this is where we're starting. So here's the after. So my desk is all tidied off. I still haven't put him away. I've actually got a load of like Halloween kind of decorations that are sitting up here that I need to put away. But I'll do that at some other time. It doesn't look too bad. It looks like I did that on purpose. You know, it looks like it's there with a purpose. So yeah, and the clothes are put away, the laundry's put away, the bookshelves are, you know, tidy enough for the most part. I haven't hoovered or anything yet. I haven't tidied up the wires either because I'm going to be doing a load of filming tomorrow. So I was like, fuck it. And if we pan over here, we've got my bed all nice and tidy, all nice and clean. And then just my little side table and stuff. So that's all I did. So I am showered. I am dressed in my jammies. I'm ready to go to bed. I've taken my nighttime medication. I've scrubbed my face, which is why it's looking so pink. I put on my moisturizer that I haven't had for like the last week, and my skin has been so dry. I've been feeling like a bit of streaky bacon. I just feel, you know, delicious but crispy. So I think I'm going to do some reading. Well, I am going to do some reading, but I'm going to read something else. I'm going to divert for the time being because I think it's just the day that's been in it that I still feel kind of anxious. I don't feel ready to rest, and yeah, I just feel a little bit wound up and like a bit stressed and stuff, and like I don't feel like I'm ready to relax. So instead of reading something that may induce more anxiety in me, I decided to go back to what I was reading before I started The Eyes of the Best Part. I'm going to be continuing on with Beautiful Star. I have about 70 pages left of this, so I'm hoping that I can actually get this finished. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know, it's just a nice change of pace from some of the horror stuff that I've been reading, and some of the more modern stuff, because I really, like, 2024 has not been a year for classics for me, which, I mean, you know, was a choice, because, you know, reading classics takes me more time, and I kind of felt like more of an obligation this year to read more current stuff. The fact that I've even started doing videos, you know, talking about books that are coming out soon that I'm looking forward to. I'm just trying to be a little bit more current, and it's not for like any sort of like algorithm purposes or anything like that, but I just feel, you know, that I shouldn't be like shutting myself off from reading new stuff and just solely reading old stuff and stuff like that. I know I've talked about this like a million times, but yeah, so I'm gonna try to wind down now. I'm watching an ITV drama on Netflix at the moment called, I think it's called The Confession, and I was watching it. I've like got 4 like episodes in. There's only like 6 episodes, and I was like, this is so familiar for me. It turns out I've actually watched the documentary that was made on it already, so that's why like I was so familiar with the story, and I was like, I get a real sense of deja vu, but I know I haven't watched this before. But yeah, I'm mad into binging my ITV dramas at the moment. Life. Anyway, so I will sign off for tonight and get on to you tomorrow, because tomorrow we have a very busy day. please excuse how tired I look right now. It has been a busy couple of days, as you have seen, and luckily enough I have achieved to get everything done that I set out to at the start of this video. I'm back to work for the next couple of days now, starting tomorrow. So after all my cleaning today, which took about 4 hours in total between cleaning and tidying and organising and laundry and stuff like that, I decided to reward myself this evening by just getting cozy in bed with my hot water bottle, which is right here, because it's so cold now, and just finishing The Eyes of the Best Part. And it was an interesting experience because I feel like everything I had talked about in the previous updates kind of came full circle. So I was right about a few elements that I initially was kind of making assumptions on, and the last couple of pages, I was just like, I just couldn't get enough. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I feel like it did become a thriller at the very last moment, just because I was so intrigued and so involved in the story and the characters and like what the ultimate outcome was going to be. This was a pretty decent book. I feel like this book absolutely lived up to the hype that I've seen going around for it, and that was a relief because, like I said, I've read a couple of really shitty new releases in 2024 to the point where I feel like people must be on a payroll for some of the things that they're recommending, because it's just that bad to like a seasoned horror reader and stuff like that. This impressed me. Was it reinventing the wheel in the imagery and the concepts it was bringing up? No, not necessarily, but it was still fun. And I think, you know, the main thing with a horror novel or thriller or what have you is that it needs to be fun. It needs to be enjoyable for the reader. It needs to have that level of engagement where you really just want to continue and read and find out what happens in the end. And this had that for me. But I really enjoy the elements of this, of seeing a young woman really come into her own, become a completely different version of herself, a vengeful badass who is so like malicious and petty and secretive. And there was so many moments of like pure anxiety in this, and that's the one thing I feel like our main character was absolutely not a full-blown psycho, because there were moments where she was so nervous about getting caught, and those moments were just so like intense for me. I think that's purely down to the fact that I've had a lot of anxiety recently, as I have documented. You know, I feel like I was more impacted by that because I'm kind of feeling it within myself on the base level. But what I think I really enjoyed about it was that the story just comes down to the basics of a woman wanting to protect her family and wanting to keep them safe and wanting to make sure that the people that hurt them can never hurt them again. And, you know, it felt kind of powerful to me in that respect. And it also just felt badass and awesome. And the level of retribution that, you know, we see being handed out, and the level of like scheming and plotting, it didn't necessarily feel 100% believable in that regard, but I was able to just let that kind of go and enjoy the journey for what it was. And all the eyeball munching was absolutely grotesque and disgusting, and I don't want to read about eyeballs for a really long time. Like, there's like, I have certain things about horror that I just don't like. Eyeballs and anything to do with tendons, I can't. They're like my weak spots. I haven't even watched that awful film with Jessica Alba called The Eye from like the 2000s, because I'm just like, I don't want to see stuff involving eyes. Despite the fact that I've like owned it for so long, like I'm picking it up for 50 cents, and then I'm just like, why did I get this? Same with Hostel. I don't know. Like, I just can't watch that shit. So I guess my outcome is that if you're thinking of reading this or you're thinking of picking it up, and initially you think it's a bit slow or, you know, it's a bit mundane, just keep going with it, keep persevering. No, it's not the greatest thing I've ever read, but like I said, it was enjoyable for what it was. It kind of gave me exactly what I was looking for in the setup to the story, and I was pretty happy with the outcome of it, to be perfectly honest. That is it for this reset slash reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit chaotic and all over the place, and a lot of the time I feel like I didn't mention things, so there were certain things that are like out of context within the video, and I'm also having issues now as to being able to export it because for some reason the file is absolutely massive. So nothing that I've done to fix it has helped, so you'll see this whenever you see this, unfortunately. Like, I was able to stick to my schedule with the video but not stick to the uploading schedule that I had in mind for this. So yeah, hopefully it'll be before the end of the year. If not, I hope you had a great Christmas, a great holiday period, and I hope you have a fantastic new year, and wishing you all the best. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.